Yeah, nowadays you could just go out with your GPS and say, oh, here we are, bingo.
Your tracker app.
Yeah, and say, oh, I wonder where that bird's been over the last 4 or 5 days. Bingo. Yeah, technology's done a lot for outdoor studies that way.
Yeah. Here we are at the TLC lab, June 29th, 2015, and I'm talking with
Pat Herzog.
Yes, as part of our My Story project. Patrick, I see you've written this. Well, I can't even call it I guess it's a manuscript, really, of a book, and maybe just a little background on that.
I'd like to present a few comments today about a book that I'm writing and titled "Embraced by Nature," by Patrick Herzog. I've been a wildlife biologist for my entire career. That probably spans in the neighborhood of 30 years. And I'm writing this book in part to talk about my experiences with nature as they relate to an illness that I had, cancer, and how nature basically became my healing spirit, my healing process. The first chapter is entitled Endangered, as I sort of relate my future at this point in my life to one of not being very certain about ultimate survival.
All right, here we are at the Wildlife Recovery Center. Speaking of recovery, we thought nice choice for a theme of a place. So let's see if we can get in this place. All right, here we are, June 29th, 2015, with Pat Herzog here.
Yes, that's a good term for rebounding from illness, recover, just like wildlife that are in trouble, they recover populations and their health. The alarm clock starts to ring. I smother it quickly with my pillow, worried the sound might wake the park guards asleep in the bunkhouse. I remain in bed while I dress, wiggling into my pants. I slip beneath my mosquito net and slide toward the back door in my socks. I keep the light of my headlamp down as I cross the floor. I slowly open the screen door, but I do not leave until searching the porch for the terciopelo, the most dangerous snake in Costa Rica. I have met campesinos with the disfigured hands and limbs that testify to the potency of the bite of that snake. The big vipers often wait near the steps to attack the mice that live under the floorboards. I leave the yard riding my bike, the anti-venom stored in my pack. Daybreak is still 2 hours away. I pedal along a trail coming to a narrow path that leads through the dark jungle. I never stray from the beam of my flashlight, reaching a hill of short grass after 45 minutes. Scarlet macaws live nearby. I will wait on the open knoll overlooking the river to count them when they fly overhead at sunrise. Only 2 groups of the magnificent birds exist in the country, and local habitat destruction and the illegal capture and sale of these exotic birds has severely decimated their populations. I am here at the request of the National University of Costa Rica to monitor the daily flights of the remaining birds. I must determine the size and reproduction of the population and its need for legal protection. The invitation is the major highlight of my career in wildlife biology and conservation that has spanned 25 years. Likewise, wilder times in wilder places have always appealed to me. I have found both working in the rainforest. Dawn ends abruptly, and the first distant cries of the macaws sharply pierce the morning stillness. Soon they sweep and dart toward me through the mist. The oncoming birds sound like prowling tomcats as they crest the hill, a torrent of brilliant crimson, yellow, and blue, lit by the sun. The raucous spectacle of color and noise passes low over my head as a string of 60 to 70 birds fly deep into the park in search for food. Only 20 minutes and the flight is over. I will return just before sunset to watch the birds again when they return to roost in the mangrove swamps. To collect solid data, I conduct my counts at dawn and dusk 3 days in a row every second week. Once, after being delayed 2 days in camp because of thunderstorms, I leave the guard station before daylight, as usual, to do the morning count. I dodge puddles along the trail, but need to raise my feet above the pedals to keep my feet dry. I abandon the bike. Reaching the path, I start wading in water nearly to my knees. I noisily slosh ahead, afraid I will not arrive in time to the lookout to see the birds. And I must watch them flight from there, or my information will not be scientifically acceptable. Apparently the river must have spilled its banks, flooding the valley. Then I remember the crocodiles. They sleep at night on sandbars and mud banks along the river. Where was that big bastard I had seen trolling up the river with a piece of yellow plastic in its mouth? That was the ear tag of a young calf that had been snagged while trying to drink from the river. I stop and cast a narrow beam of my flashlight over the dark water around me. I would never see such a beast submerged in the flooded debris of the jungle. I could go back, but I've never been fearful of dying in the wilderness, believing my physical skills and mental toughness would always prevail, even in the tightest of circumstances. I wade forward very slowly, trying very hard not to disturb the black water. Some weeks later, I record the flights of the macaws for a final time. 2 years of research have passed as quickly as the birds did overhead, but I must return to Canada. I am reluctant to leave the birds and the other wonders of the rainforest, but lately I have been unusually tired after the morning count. Instead of practicing Spanish, I have often been taking a nap after lunch. Perhaps I have mononucleosis. Can you get mono in Costa Rica? The macaws will soon be classified as endangered, and I will worry about their survival. Soon I will also begin to worry about my own future.
Layer of